She pounded on my garage door like she owned it and shouted, "My son wants that Harley. Hand it over before I call the police." That was the first time I met my new neighbor, Karen. She stood there in a pink robe, hair messy, gripping her phone like she was ready for battle. Her teenage son stood behind her, staring at my Harley like it already belonged to him. For a moment I wondered if someone was filming a prank. "I'm sorry, what?" I finally asked. Karen lifted her chin. "That motorcycle belonged to the previous owner's nephew. My son has been waiting for it. Either you hand it over or we'll take legal action." I almost laughed. "Ma'am, I bought this Harley myself. Paid in full. I've got the title right here." She snapped back instantly. "I don't care about your fake paperwork. We have rules here. HOA rules. Everything on this property falls under our community rights." That word hit me hard. I had moved in 2 weeks earlier, hoping for peace by the lakeside, and had no idea the neighborhood even had an HOA, but it was clear she considered herself the entire HOA. Her son stepped closer and touched the seat. "Mom, just take it. He won't do anything." I took a slow breath. "Kid, step away from the bike." Karen's eyes narrowed. "You just threatened my son." Before I could respond, she started dialing. "I'm calling the police right now." My confusion turned to disbelief. She wasn't bluffing. She actually called the police over my motorcycle. She paced the driveway, acting like she was the victim. "Yes, officer. He's being aggressive and he has a stolen vehicle. Please hurry." Her voice echoed through the neighborhood as curtains shifted and doors opened. Minutes later, a police cruiser arrived with lights flashing. Karen pointed at me immediately. "That's him. Arrest him." The officer approached calmly. "Sir, we received a report about a stolen Harley." I smiled, pulled out my wallet, and handed him the title. "I think you'll want to take a look at this." He checked it, then looked at me carefully. "Sir, what's your name?" "Daniel Carter." He nodded, as if the name meant something important. Then he turned toward Karen. "Ma'am, you should be careful before accusing someone of theft. Mr. Carter works directly with the state attorney's office." Karen froze. Her son's smirk disappeared, and the entire street fell silent. She stammered, "You're lying." The officer didn't even acknowledge the accusation. He handed me my paperwork and nodded respectfully. "Everything checks out, Mr. Carter. Sorry for the inconvenience." Karen forced a laugh. "Officer, this is just a misunderstanding. Our neighborhood has strict HOA rules. I was just making sure he wasn't violating any." The officer cut her off gently. "Ma'am, property rights are separate from HOA concerns. You cannot accuse someone of theft without evidence. That is a serious matter." Her lips tightened, but she kept pushing. "Well, if he followed the HOA registration process, there wouldn't be issues. Everyone reports new vehicles to me." I raised an eyebrow. "To you? Since when do you handle vehicle registration?" She crossed her arms. "Since the HOA elected me president." "Elected," I said. "Or so." Before she could respond, her son muttered, "Mum, just let it go." But she wasn't done. "He's ignoring HOA rules. People like him think they can move in and do whatever they want." The officer sighed. "Ma'am, please take this inside before it gets out of hand." She glared at me. "This isn't over. You'll regret challenging me." Then she stormed off, her footsteps sharp against the driveway. The officer gave me a sympathetic look. "You might want to keep your security cameras on. People who escalate like this usually don't stop right away." He was right. That night, I checked my camera feed before bed. Around midnight, something made my stomach drop. Karen's son was in my driveway, holding a key. He crouched next to my Harley, fumbling with the ignition like he had done it before. I stepped outside quietly, with the camera recording. When I flipped on the porch light, he froze. "Hey," I said firmly. "Step away from the bike." He stumbled back. "I just wanted to look at it." Karen's voice came from next door. "Don't yell at my son." She stood there again in her robe, holding a flashlight like a shield. "He's checking his property." "His property?" I said. "This is my legally owned Harley, the one you both tried to take earlier." She pointed the flashlight at my face. "You can't prove anything. This is harassment." That's when I smiled, and she knew something had changed. "Actually, I can prove it. Every second is recorded on my security cameras." "Want to see?" Words failed her. I turned my phone so she could see her son caught on camera. Her son whispered, "Mom, he's filming," she said sharply. "You can't record minors without permission. Not when they're on private property without consent." I replied calmly, "You know that." Silence filled the driveway. Then she shouted, "I'm contacting the HOA board tomorrow. You're finished here, Carter. We'll have you removed." I laughed softly. "You might want to check something first. The HOA's property lines aren't where you think they are." And when the county records come out, you'll see exactly whose land you've been standing on. Her confidence wavered. You're bluffing, we'll see, I said, heading inside. The next morning, an orange violation notice was taped to my door. It wasn't signed, but the handwriting was unmistakably hers. You are disrupting community peace. Remove the motorcycle within 24 hours or face legal action. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I went to the county office and requested the property maps. What I found made me smile. My land didn't just belong to me. Half of the so-called community street actually crossed onto my property. That afternoon, Karen marched over waving papers. You're being fined, Carter. I held up my folder. Really? Because according to the county, your HOA has been trespassing on my land. Her face went pale. That can't be right. Feel free to check with your lawyer, I said, or the state attorney's office. They've already seen the report. 2 days later, real officers returned. But this time, they went to Karen's door. They carried a warrant for harassment, trespassing, and filing false reports. I watched from my porch as she insisted, you can't do this. I represent the HOA, the lead officer replied calmly. Not anymore. As they drove away, I looked at my Harley shining in the sunlight and said quietly, power only works when it's backed by the truth. And that's how the loudest HOA in town finally went quiet. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more incredible HOA stories.